Excuse me
This
what?
one's
What's next?
my favorite. Excuse me what? So,
Okay.
pastor who praised Pulse. And by the way, excuse me what is just I say that because like I read the article titles themselves, and sometimes I excuse me what at the title, and then I go in the article, and it's like okay, not too bad. This one's not that one.
Well, yeah, we should
Not
clarify
that way. But
this
anyways,
is a segment.
pastor who
It's a segment.
praised Pulse nightclub gunman resigns after allegedly paying for sex. Okay.
Excuse me, what? Color me surprised.
Oh,
Pastor is hypocritical.
so in a sermon that was posted to YouTube, Mr. Romero told congregants at one time that gay people were all pedophiles and that he hoped the injured from the Pulse nightclub shooting would die of their wounds so they don't get any more opportunity to go out and hurt little children. Now, the obvious irony, and this is why I picked, this is the only screenshot that I took from the article paragraph, the obvious irony here. And it's actually really sad irony because this was a terrible shooting that happened. We all remember Pulse. I'm sure you remember Pulse. And
literally the worst mass murder in American history.
It's sickening irony.
Oh, actually,
sorry, he's railing against people who just went through one of the most violent acts in modern history in this country. In recent memory.
Until Stephen Paddock.
And they have the gall.
Until Las Vegas.
To a podium. Until what? Okay, who gives a crap? It was bad. It was stop. A lot of people died and it was not good. And anybody who would have the gall to get up to a podium and continue to just pouring salt in the wound is such an understatement. Kicking a person when he's down is such an understatement that it makes me have uncomfortable thoughts of this person not existing anymore either. And I know that that's not the right response to have when they're doing that, but it's these people are just hateful, and it's hard for me to understand why. And it actually makes me sad a lot of times when I read stuff like this. How could you be so hateful? Who are you? What happened to you?
Well, it doesn't surprise me.
Look at another human being, which most of us are here trying our best, trying to survive, doing what animals have done on this planet for billions of years, right? And not animals specifically, but organisms specifically. And you just choose to just completely hate them and just smear the crap out of them just because. It feels like just because I don't know why.
It feels like just because. I don't think it's just because, but there is an interesting type of group of, let's say, what's the word? Religious types of leaders that get led to this extreme type of preaching from the pulpit, right? This guy came out after this horrible shooting, which, to clarify earlier, I was just saying, I thought it was the worst, but then Las Vegas was the worst. Regardless of all of that, at the time, 49 people were killed. 49 people were gunned down, right? And this guy came out very quickly afterward and said, nothing less than they deserve this, and I hope the ones that were injured would die too, just by extension of just by virtue of them being gay. Like, they deserve this death, right? They don't even. It's not just that they deserve this death in this life, but that they will go to the next life and they will be punished, and it will be forever, and they will be burning in hell, right? Like,
what a meritocracy.
And it's weird too, because we've seen this countless times before. It's the ones with the most hateful, vitriolic type of rhetoric from the pulpit that turn out being engaged in this very same behavior.
And I didn't even finish the article. Hang on, let me finish this. So the same person who espouses this hateful rhetoric, evidently is hooking up with prostitutes, smoking marijuana, which is it makes me chuckle when I read.
I know, right?
As if it's like. Anyways,
that's like the most. Yeah, go ahead.
Smoking marijuana,
smoking the dope.
The marriage, hey. Anyways,
you got that dope.
And gambling, which also makes me chuckle because I've done a fair share of gambling.
What is that? That's such a nothing thing compared to.
So, well, it all depends on the context, by the way. But anyways, and gambling. So doing all these things that clearly are not biblically sound.
Right.
So, and the article always makes me excuse me what first, but what made me excuse me what so hard while reading this article is I always think about when I read these things, and you kind of made it clear when we were in pre-production for this pod that you may have felt the same way. The suppressed feelings, dog. The suppressed feelings of people who I just feel like there is a certain kind of energetic zealot for life in general who knows that maybe some of their natural instincts are really bad, and they hear about the word of God, they hear about the fear and the afterlife, and they get really zealoty about trying to like, maybe I can like clean myself by like presenting this pure, like going into this like, but you cannot listen. Everybody's human. And by the way, it's okay to be human. It's okay. Like if this guy lives in a society, a place in this world, and these places exist that legally you can gamble, smoke weed, and go pay for sex, there's no problem. The problem is you chose a lifestyle where you were preaching against it, where you were sitting on the highest horse one of the highest horses I've ever seen, and saying, you are terrible, do better. In the meantime, you're doing the same things. And Catholic Church reminds me of this too, especially scandal after scandal still keeps happening in the Catholic Church. We're years into these scandals and they keep coming.
It almost suggests.
And guess what happens when you tell human beings to not have sex?
Right.
Not good things, okay?
It's almost like repressing natural urges tends to be really toxic to a human being.
Look at that. Isn't that crazy? I know.
Interesting how that works. You know what's slightly ironic in this whole thing too is because Omar Mateen, you know what? I really shouldn't repeat that guy's name, but the guy who did the Pulse nightclub shooting, right?
I'm gonna edit that out. That's how I feel about that. No problem. I got you.
Fair enough. Or you could just bleep it. But yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do.
So the Pulse nightclub shooter, right? There was some speculation early on, and I don't know if it was ever verified, by the FBI or by the local police agencies there, but there was early reports that like Omar Mateen, Jesus Christ, that this guy was a shooter. That this guy was a shooter. The shooter was a frequent at this nightclub before the shooting took place, right? So there's this idea that he belonged to a certain religion, not Christianity. Hint, the other one.
I know.
Right. And again, I don't know if this was ever verified, but the idea was that this was some sort of self-hating, ideologue, far extremist type of person who just like snapped because there's this idea that like, hey, here I am a human being and I have these certain predilections, and hey, here I am being raised with these strict hardcore beliefs that tell me that I should be an awful person if I even have those predilections. And it was like, either leave the religion or do something that justifies how I'm feeling in the eyes of what I think is God. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I don't know if these were verified, but it's like these self-hating people who are so hard on it that are just like under the hammer and nail of what the religion dictates, and they just don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to sympathize with this
suppress
pastor.
people.
Don't suppress people. I'm not trying to sympathize with this pastor, right?
No. I know.
But and again, they actually explicitly said in the article the gender of the prostitutes was not revealed. So we don't know if like he was engaging in homosexual activity, which I honestly, based on history,
at this point.
Well, I'm inclined to believe that he did.
I agree.
But
really quickly before you continue, you know what it reminds me of? I know you've seen Religulous. You remember when he sits down and interviews the guy who runs a gay conversion? Dude, and that guy was the gay. We're not going to say it because we're not going to say it because I don't know for sure. We're not going to smear slander anybody.
Well, I will say this:
Omar sat down with someone who runs a gay conversion camp thing back in the movie Religulous, and all I could think of is this man is so repressed, and that's all I'll say.
Absolutely, that's all I'll say. I'll throw this name out too because he didn't commit a terroristic act, but he did something extremely hypocritical, so his name should be floated out there. His name was Ted Haggard, and he ran a super church or one of those mega churches in the South, and I'm sure you remember this. One of the most vehement, vitriolic, hateful types of people towards gays, and then it turns out he was smoking meth and meeting up with homosexual,
so crazy,
male prostitutes, implying that he was a homosexual. It's like, Why is your self-hatred so intense that you go to this place where you become a leader in terms of just this awful rampage against the very thing
Dude,
that you feel inclined to do?
can you imagine what heights of
crazy.
self-loathing that is?
Oh, it's insane. And this
literally, you are a crazy person. Heights of self-loathing. So listen.
Yeah. Well, because you go to just such an extent to deny that very nature of your existence. It's like, damn, man. Jesus.
Dude,
No,
and you said you're not trying to sympathize with the pastor, and I'm not either. But it does make me chuckle
that's
a
a
little
path he
bit that
took.
there's plenty of places on this planet where if you go to work, you don't bother nobody. It's perfectly within your purview and legality to go get a prostitute, buy some weed, and go gamble in one night and enjoy yourself, and just go home and continue to go to work and contribute to society. And that's what's kind of a little funny about it. It's like just high amounts of self-loathing. Let's move on. All right.
Well, one last thing. Can I say one last thing?
Oh, sure. Oh, I left it on the article the whole time. I didn't even take it off the screenshot.
Oh, that's right. Well, so this article references, so the church itself has a channel. They're called the Steadfast Baptist Church. Feel free to go there and consume and react however you want. So they posted a video of the meeting where this guy made a statement, right? So there is a pastor that took over that they brought in, and he opens it up. He opens it up and he says, listen, Pastor Romero's going to come out. He's going to say something. And this guy comes out and he puts his phone down. So he's clearly reading sort of a pre-written type of speech.
Definitely.
And he's glancing at his phone. You know, he's just like nervous as all hell. You've done a horrible thing, sure. But as he was telling his apology and his resignation, he didn't say anything specific, but there was one line that caught me in particular. And he said, I'm sorry I let it get this far. And it's this type of thing that makes me just so contempt of people like this, because he's not.
I didn't catch that. Wow. Yeah.
He's not sorry about the things that he did, especially to his family and to his community.
He's sorry he lost control of it.
No, he's sorry. Yeah. Well, essentially, yeah. He's sorry that he got found out. He doesn't. He didn't really care about the consequences of his decisions until he got found out.
So do you think the nerves? Because he definitely displayed nerves when he was up there. Because I watched the video. Do you think the nerves were just fake, or
no? The nerves were real. The nerves were real.
I think so. But I think the ramifications. Only because he knew the ramifications.
Only because he was losing, crumbling down. Exactly. That's exactly it. He doesn't truly care that he's hurt his wife and his family. He doesn't truly care that he's been preaching horrible things about the behavior that he's probably been engaging in. He only cares that he got found out. And that's what makes me hate this guy just that much more.
Don't be that pastor. Oh.